What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TCP Trading Camp Pod, episode 73, about to get underway with Lia the Trader. Excited to meet her, excited to speak with her. Lia, welcome to the show. Excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. Excited.
I'm glad. So we haven't formally met. As Noah mentioned, we've been in a few spaces together, live trading with Wolf, but definitely ready to learn more about you, your trading, and I know that our listeners are going to be excited to hear from you. So if you want to start just by telling us about your background and how you got into trading in the first place.
My story with trading is quite interesting. So I was a marriage counselor for 10 years and I worked in New York. I had my practice there and I was helping couples to resolve issues and conflicts, and it was a lot of psychology work. And then I was investing a lot of my money that I earned for over 10 years. And then I decided to trade in 2020 when I saw the volatility in the market. So that's when I started learning how to trade and how to what the stock market is all about. And that was my story. So March 2020 I started, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just looked some YouTube videos. I started following people. I didn't come to Twitter for a while, actually. I came to Twitter much later. But I think, I started with YouTube, to be honest with you. And I just loved the movements of the market and the stocks, and I saw all this happening and I decided to learn. And after a while, technical analysis is not as complicated. You spend 6 months and you get it. But what I think is really complicated was the psychology of trading, and that's what I keep mastering until today. So I think that's the most complicated for most people. They can learn, indicators and candles and all that, but you cannot learn you have to learn to control your own emotions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have, a similar story. When you first get into the market, it seems pretty easy. I guess once you start to learn a thing or two, you get an idea or a sense for how things move, and you get to learn the basics of technical analysis, and then you think you've got it all figured out for the most part. But as you mentioned, the trading psychology is obviously no secret, the biggest and most crucial part of successful trading. But I want to ask you, when you first started in 2020, what was it like as far as struggles or successes, and what was it that you were primarily trading at that time?
So I just, I don't even know how I was picking stocks. I had no idea about really volume and scanners. It was just wild, wild west for me. It's I don't even know. I think, to be honest with you, I started reading Motley Fool to start with.
You know what's funny? Yesterday, I literally think yesterday, I was going through my Gmail and I'm like, I've been getting these emails from Motley Fool for 3 years now. Why have I not unsubscribed? And I finally unsubscribed. That is the most annoying shit. Them and Seeking Alpha.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They blow up your Gmail
mailbox. Yeah, horrible. So but now when I read their stuff, they're horrible actually, because now I have a little bit of idea about trading, of course, and investing too, and I'm like, you're suggesting to buy this stock, it's up 150%, guys. Really?
Oh,
it's
man.
Jim Cramer, another one. But yeah, that's how I started. So I bought their stuff, but in 2020, no matter what you bought, it would go up. So that was my trading. And it's just the fear when the trade would go against me, I was freaking out. I was cutting my losses immediately. Immediately I would be no, this goes against me, I cut my loss. I think I was actually good with that at the beginning. So I wasn't losing that much money, and I actually made a lot of money considering it was my first year, but I don't take the credit for that because really that was super easy year. 2020 was oh great, let's buy whatever, Hertz, you name it. So that was my beginning. And then I started learning, I think the indicators, the basics, everyone talks about, and it doesn't really work. I was trading off of hammer candle or RSI, with hammer candle. I'm this must be it. Just super basics. That were my beginnings, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that you're really good with cutting your losers. I think that a lot of people, when they start, I know that was a struggle for me, especially in such a hot market, as you mentioned, in 2020, because there was this, feel for the market that it was like, if something didn't go up today, it was going to go up tomorrow. You know what I mean? It was like every single dip was being bought, and as you mentioned, everything was climbing higher. So I think that was the most difficult time to cut losses, because you could really get away with not using a stop loss and the stock would come back. A lot of these penny stocks would just run, 200, 300, 500% over the course of a couple weeks. So if a stock dips 10, 15% in a day, buy the dip, right? That was the opportunity to get long and build a position. So a lot of people come to, the turn of the regime, when the bull market came to an end, that was the fault of a lot of traders, when things
Yes.
just were no longer recovering, and that momentum that seemed to be so normal had just disappeared from the market. So, that is definitely a good thing, that you had that habit of cutting losers early from, the beginning when you first started trading.
Well, that was the beginning, but then, as you said, March 2020, I was so scared of red color. The moment I saw it, I would cut losses. But then I got used to that I don't have to cut the losses, as you said. And as the year was going on, I'm like, oh, great. It only goes up. Market only goes up. This is great. So I just put more money into the market. And I ended the year with like $500,000 I made. And 2021.
Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit. 2021, I lost it all.
No way.
Yes.
That's crazy.
All of it?
Yes, $500,000 gone. Like, I mean, the money I made, not like the stuff that I put into the market.
Right.
But like all the money I made, I lost. And because again, the same thing. Like I was buying stuff like a degen with no stop losses. And then, when the losses were gigantic, I was like, oh my God, this might go worse. But then you end up being in trades that are down 30, 40, 50%. So like 2021 was extremely depressing year for me. And then in August 21, I remember I was like a basket case. I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is horrible. Depressed, I was crying. I said, let me take a month off and go spend a month with my parents to Europe and think, like, what do I want from my life? Like, can I learn this? Can I learn that this is not just that easy as it looked? And then I came back and I started taking it very seriously. And then the bear market came. So like it's fascinating, but the people that started actively trading in 2020, we got it all. Like it's like from crazy bull to crazy bear to like choppiness. And I was like very careful. And then I just got my system. And even last year wasn't bad for me, 2022. Although it was a bear market, because I learned how to sell options. So I loved to create money with selling options on my portfolio and just buying stocks on discount, and then use like these huge rallies that we had like last year in August, or this year, January, February, So that was like the style that I adjusted to in 22. Now is a different time again. Like we don't have these crazy rallies that we had last year, We don't have as pronounced of movements, but this is all about really individual stocks and breakouts, I think, this year. So it's a profitable year so far for me. I'm happy because it's not an easy year, apparently, as I'm hearing from people. They trade much longer than me. And what I also learned, I take it day by day, because every year is different, and every time of the market, the dynamics are different. So I just take it day by day, Have my long-term investments. I'm not investing too much this year, quite frankly. I invested a lot of money last year. I actually thought last year on those dips, I was just buying stuff for 10 years and longer, which was mostly by selling puts, which also is a great strategy for people that want to invest. I enjoy it a lot. Just instead of buying the shares, you get paid for waiting for the price you want. And this year, again, I just am adding dividend stocks. And I'm just waiting to see, because it's very uncertain time, We are kind of in a limbo the whole year. And I don't want to be bull or bear. As I said, like for my investment portfolio, I don't care, because it's 10, 15 years horizon, whatever is happening there. I have 20 companies that I think are really great. I might be wrong, but I spend a lot of time researching stuff for that. And then I have my dividend portfolio that gives me whatever 6% a year on average from all the stocks I have. And then I'm waiting, But that's it's some people say 3 years is not enough. I think I've been literally trading every day of these 3 years besides last week. Last week was like Thursday, Friday. I wasn't trading because I was on a rally. So it's hard to drive 120 miles an hour and trade. So I wasn't trading. There was like literally, I think
the market ripped 120 points last Thursday, Friday.
Oh my God!
So you missed that move,
I know I missed that. Yeah, but I liked it, as a long-term investor. On days like this, if I don't trade, my portfolios are up huge. So I'm
you're happy either way.
Right.
I'm happy either way. Yeah. So like I honestly I'm much better swing trader, and I love selling options and investing. Day trading, I'm not the best, to be honest with you. I say it always in all spaces, and I say it I'm very honest about it. I'm not like some of these guys or you guys, like you might be excellent day traders. A lot of people I know, they're excellent day traders. Like they're so fast and they're so good with this that I don't want to pretend I'm so good like them, because I'm not, but I'm very good with longer trades. Like I love swing trading. Like yesterday, like swing trades I opened on Friday, matter of 5 minutes, I cashed out like 3-hour profit on these swing trades. So that's what I like to do. I like to see the sentiment and take things overnight or take breakouts for longer. That's what I specialize in and works really well for me. But I think everyone finds their own strategy, right? Depending what you want to do, what's your personality, what's your lifestyle, what's your concentration, how you can focus on stuff. That's very important to know as well. Some people have ADHD or they can't focus, so day trading must be super hard because you have to pay attention to every detail.
Day trading might actually be easier for those people.
Why do you think?
I've always looked at swing trading as like you have to be focused for longer, right? Like whatever emotions that you're going to deal with inside of your trade, whether it's fear, the price is going down, I'm afraid of that, or greed, the price is going up, I think that it can go higher. I feel like when you're in a day trade, you've only got really a few minutes to react to those things like you were talking about. But I feel like that leaves a little bit less room for error, as opposed to like, I wake up today, my trade's green, and I'm like, okay, that's nice. I wake up the next day, it's green again. And I'm like, wait, I think that it can keep going. I feel like it's a longer, more drawn out process of having to stay locked in. Like when I'm in a trade, I'm locked in. Nothing else is going to interrupt my focus. And I feel like for a swing trade, you would have to be locked in on a similar level, but just for a longer amount of time.
Well, focus, that's the thing. If you can't focus, but there are people that have ADHD or they can't focus. So, like with ADHD, you're missing details. Like, for example, if you have to see a certain moving average or you have to pay attention to many things at the same time, that's really difficult for this kind of people that can't focus. If you can focus, you're like a pilot. You have your checklist and you attend to the checklist. I have a hard time with that, but when I'm having like, let's say half an hour to focus on the trade because I'm swing trading, I'm looking at the daily chart, at the breakout, like I plan it really nicely and slowly. I have huge stop loss also. And then I know, that's why for me, it's much easier, for example, because like so fast for me, the day trading is sometimes tough. But again, like that's what I tell traders always, like know who you are, know your personality, know what freaks you out. And I don't look at my swing trades. Like I check them 15 minutes twice a day. Like yesterday, I was overnight at SOXL, the triple ETF for semiconductors. I was up 9% from Friday when I bought it. I looked, sold. Like if I'm up 9% on a swing trade, there's no point of me to staying longer and thinking, oh, maybe I go higher. No, like just my super strict rules at this point, because you know how it is. This market is like choppy. One day you're up, then you're down, and you can buy it again. It's like ridiculous. So yeah, that's just my point of view on this.
I think it's interesting too that you had mentioned that, as a trader who started in 2020, you kind of have gotten a bit of everything, right? You had the really aggressive bull market, you had the really aggressive bear market to start last year. And then it's sort of been sideways. I actually saw a stat the other day, trailing 12 months, we're literally flat, like not up at all, not down at all, literally in this exact same spot that we were 12 months ago this time. I don't know if that still holds true. I think I saw that like a week ago.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. Yeah, you're right. It's
Right. So I think for one of the things that I've found has been really difficult for newer traders who have gotten involved like in that 2020 market is exactly that. It's the fact that we're not just on a constant rip to the upside. We're not just constant bad news. The floor is falling out under every stock. It's a bit more nuanced, and you have to be a little bit more dynamic in how you approach your trades and how you approach your analysis. I found that that's really hard for a lot of people. And when the market gets into ranges like we saw a couple of weeks ago, where we're stuck in that 10-point range for several days, and we're seeing more and more of that now, I find that that in and of itself can be a struggle, right? Where it feels like the market's not really going anywhere. How do I capitalize? But yet we still have days like today where, the market was down 50 points in the first hour. And days like last Thursday and Friday where we, like Alejandro said, we had a 120-point rally over the course of 2 days. So there's definitely still opportunity out there. How would you say that you've sort of navigated this choppy environment that we've been in? And what, I guess, bad habits did you have to cut from coming in a market that was so volatile, whether it was to the upside or the downside? What have you sort of learned to help manage, this choppiness that we've been in?
I definitely respect my stop loss. That's number one, although they are tricky. And of course, you get sometimes stopped out and the trade goes back. So that's number one. What I learned there is if I get stopped out and the next candle goes exactly where I wanted it to go, I re-enter the trade. And that helped me many times. And you need to act faster, because we get chopped out sometimes. So that's number one. Second, it's good for people, even if they are just trading, to learn a little bit about the macro environment. Because, certain times dollar goes up, gold goes up. If you know those things, then you can kind of trade stuff, because there's never a bear market for everything. There are always sectors and sentiments, that are bullish. And like, if you just look at food, like McDonald's, for example, like just name it, there are Lulu cosmetic brands. Like, it's good for people to know these dynamics and what is in recession, what are stocks that go up in this kind of environments. So people get stuck only on growth stocks, for example, because they move fast, but Lulu moves fast too. McDonald's moves crazy fast. Like, there are so many things that you can trade. And if day trading doesn't work because it's choppy, then people can learn swing trading. You know what I mean? Like, we must be flexible. We must always adjust, because that's what trading is about. You will not survive if you have one style and you want to trade it all the time. Like, I hated trading options, and I learned selling options last year, and I made 10% on one long-term account just from selling options. And I sold 100 of puts in the matter of year, like every week, 2-3 of them and stuff like that. I got assigned maybe 4 times. Like, I also tell people, of course, it's cash secured put. You have to be very careful. I could have sold 30 puts every day if I would want to do wheel strategy, but God forbid I get assigned, I will not have the money. But like, patience brings roses. If you sell 2-3 puts a week, you make $500-$600 on those contracts. You do it 4 times a month. That's $2,500. You can make $30,000 a year, and you get assigned. I got personally assigned 3 times in a whole entire year from selling puts, and we had bear markets, so we had these huge dips that we got. And on these days, like, I wouldn't suggest selling put on a first red day, but on a second or third heavy red day, it's a great strategy to work with. And slowly but surely, if you think about the retrospect of a whole year, this adds up to your return on investment. So there are strategies that everyone can find out. And again, like, I started really learning about the macro environment and how it all works, because I didn't know it at the beginning, how VIX works, how dollar towards growth stocks works, what are the stocks that might perform well. And I started getting prepared last year. Like 21 December, I went really heavily into oil, which was amazing for 2022. That saved me a lot last year, but you need to understand why we do that. And even if it's a basic for traders, it's good to know those things.
As far as the macro stuff goes, I'm pretty vocal about how I feel about it, and how I guess So it's a tricky subject because here's the thing. In my opinion, yes, I completely 110% agree that it's important for traders to have a basic understanding of the macro. I think it's important for anybody to have a basic understanding of the macro economic environment. But here is my biggest thing. And I talked about this on the last Wolf Space that we were on this past Monday. I think you have to figure out what type of a trader you are, what it is that you're trading. And, for somebody like you, Lia, who's, you're long oil, and you're taking trades based off of the macro. And so for you, it's important to understand these things and to learn them. For somebody like me, and I want to say that, the majority of people who day trade the market, right? Like you're a swing trader. The majority of people that day trade the market are truly, or at least they should, only be concerned with what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes, what's going to happen in the next 15, 30 minutes, right? And so my trading style, the less I know about macro as far as news headlines, as far as what the Fed is doing, the better job I do of tuning that out, the better I trade. The reason being is this: in 2022, macro became extremely, extremely popular because it seemed to affect and impact the equity market one-to-one. So when the Fed would raise rates, the market would sell off hard. When Jerome Powell would hint at something hawkish, the market would sell off hard. So traders, and we saw a lot of this on FinTwit, became very obsessed with this idea that I have to read every line from the FOMC minutes to determine where the equity markets is going to head next. But now in 2023, the market is well adjusted, and it seems as though a lot of what we saw last year has now been priced in. The macroeconomic environment has arguably gotten worse, but SPX has climbed for the entirety of this year. So I try to tell people, you got to figure out what it is you want to do. So the only problem is if you're a day trader and maybe you're scalping, or you're looking for 15-20 point move in ES, you really shouldn't be all that concerned with what the Fed is doing. Or if you are, you should be able to tune that out of your trading, because what it does is it results in you developing an underlying bias. But in your case, Lia, as you mentioned, you're swing trading and you're trading commodities, and you're trading the dollar, or it has a direct relationship with how you trade. So going back to what you said as well, that you have to figure out your personality. You have to figure out what you want to do. But people have a very hard time differentiating. They try to be all-knowing, and that, I think, can be very, very dangerous, because you really only want to know, it's great to be the smartest guy in the room, but trading is so difficult. It's like the more noise I put in my head, the harder it is for me to trade.
100%. You're right. With day trading, I don't even know what I'm trading sometimes. Like literally, I don't care if I day trade. Again, I day trade maybe 20% of the time of the trades I take are day trades. So I agree with you. That's like I have like my VWAP and 10 exponential moving average on my chart. That's it. And I look at the volume, and, I'm a gap trader. So if I see there's a huge gap up or down, that's what I trade. And I agree with you. But again, like for people, when you ask me like what is a good thing for a job, maybe if people are struggling with day trading, they can try to do a little swing trading. Like I tried day trading, I was struggling. I went to swing trading. It worked really well for me. I stick with it. I still play around with day trading because sometimes there is just such a great move that I can't, resist. So I would take it. Like yesterday morning, I took the breakout on Nvidia. It was a quick $8 on a share in like 2 hours or something. That was amazing, right? But that made total sense. The chart looked great. I took the trade. But you're right, yeah. So people don't want to have too much information if they want to day trade. But then again, have great scanners and know your strategy. Like scan the stocks, because again, there is always a stock that's breaking out or breaking down. Like there is always something you can trade if you look at the scanner and have your criteria. Like there are rarely days that you won't find anything, and if you just don't find anything, don't trade. You don't have to trade every day too. So that's the chop time. Like some days are better than the others, and I think being selective with the stocks and with the days you trade is the best answer.
Do you find yourself like searching for trades? Like when you're taking a day trader, do you plan them out similarly to a swing trade? Like you said in Nvidia, you played the breakout. Is that something that you are eyeing, or are you like watching your scanner intraday and you go to Nvidia and it's breaking out and you're like, oh, this is an actionable setup?
So I had my NVIDIA actually for swing, and I saw that there is a beautiful pattern because we were like in the distribution zone on daily chart for a while. I said, okay, this seems like it's going to go. So I went into NVIDIA yesterday morning and I had my target about 300, but then it went up so hard yesterday. So that's another thing. Like as a swing trader, I have my targets, but I'm not going to sit there. If we have this kind of movement in one day, it went from $278. That's when I bought it at the open, up to like, I think 289 or something yesterday. So I sold it like 188 or something. And it was amazing. Like the swing trade was, the day trade was, swing trade was so powerful in one day that it became a day trade. But I was going to stay longer. But as I said, like if I have this kind of a move in one day, I take the money and run because we are in a chop market. So that's how I need to adjust myself. Like before we would have 2-3 hour trades in 2020. If there were swing trades, you could sit in those trades for longer. Like that changes as well. It's hard to have 2 hour, like the risk to reward ratio. That's how I look at the trades usually. It's really hard to find them these days because we have the chop. And what I do for my day trades, I look at scanners. I look at least 400,000 volume in pre-market. I want at least 400,000 shares traded. And I don't trade stocks below sometimes, but mostly $20 and up. And then I look at the scanner and I see gaps. Like this morning was Uber. Uber was like up 8%. So I posted it on my Twitter too. I said, this is an interesting stock. How I trade is when I see something up 8%, I wait because usually it retests. You also have sometimes gap and go and it just runs away without me. But then I can wait for some kind of a distribution at some point and then take the second leg, But like with Uber, my plan before the market opened was to wait for a retest. And I have my support resistance in place, and it for fact retested and it went higher. I mean, look at the chart on Uber. So that was my trade that I was thinking about this morning. That's how I plan it. When I see something really powerful, the earnings were great, and then I wait for retest and take the stock higher. Of course, it might just tank completely, and then that's why I have my stop loss right below. I have my stop loss below where I buy, and I stick with it. And use Fibonacci as well. That's like really nice. I trade with that, the retests. That works well for me too. So I kind of at least have some reference point where it could go. It was a really long, boring trade today. Like the Uber, it took 3 hours, I think, until it started really moving.
That's how most trades have been in this market, like all year. I think that's messing with a lot of people because looking at the chart, it feels like we've been, going higher all year, but a lot of the price action is just so slow that it makes it really difficult to be patient. And there's chop and there's fake outs along the way. And I like how you talked about in this market, it's difficult to find a 2R, 3R trade. And when you're up and you're in profit, you have to be securing those gains because there was a time, even last year, like if you were playing the downside, I remember last October, it was insane. Like the swings and like the way the broader market would move, just 100-point swings in either given direction. And it was like, this is, like you don't realize at the time, but that's not sustainable price action. And so knowing when to recognize the market is slow, I got to take profits when they're there is huge. It's huge because, not only are you going to, make more money, but there's nothing worse than being right and you were up on a trade and you didn't take profits. And then the next day it goes against you and, you sell for a loss. And the next day it goes back in your favor. Like you can't allow yourself to fall into that trap of playing the mind games, which is why for me in this market, I'm just trying to catch one small move at a time, take the majority of my profits. I'll leave a runner. Hopefully it goes. Like that's on Thursday, Friday when we had the rally. Majority of my position, I took a long at like 4,100 ES, and I think I trimmed the majority at like 41.15, I want to say. So that's 15 points. But then the runner goes another 30, 40 points, which is like, okay, awesome. Like I was able to capitalize on that. But never, ever am I planning like, all right, let's like hold this shit until it just goes to infinity, because that doesn't exist anymore. It's just so rare, these trend days that we get.
Rare, and it's crazy. You can literally buy the same stock like with the same price 10 times already this year. Like it's been like
nothing moves.
It's so annoying. Nothing moves.
I think
like
a lot
that.
of it too is like if you look at the daily time frame too, like it feels like a lot of the movement just comes in a few days. Like we'll have really extended periods of just purely sideways action, and then we'll get a few days of like really aggressive moves one direction or the other, and then again back to that chop, really aggressive move. So like in those times in between, I feel like is where you can get tripped up by seeing this looks like a breakout, this looks like a breakout, this looks like a breakout, when really we're just sort of trading in range. And then you get those 1-2 days of really good price action. Everyone's super excited. Everyone's like, all right, time to be aggressive, time to foot on the gas, and it's right back to shop.
Well, yesterday was great. Yesterday was a great day. I made a ton of money yesterday, and today again, like I tried this Uber and then I was trading on it. And that stupid stock took took all my gains for today.
The last 4 days have been good
Yeah.
price action, to be honest, since last Thursday.
But today was, I mean, to the downside, the SPY was great to trade a short if someone caught it, actually. That was a good one. I didn't.
If you were short. Yep.
If you were short, yeah.
Me neither.
Exactly.
I didn't catch it either. But yeah, it's that's another thing. It's like it is tough when the moves are rare to be okay with missing it. It's very, very tough. Like I try to catch as many of them as I can. And like I said, it's not with the intent of holding for 100-point move. But if I have that runner, I'm just letting that thing go, because if we're trending in one direction, I'm like, I don't know when the next time it is that we're going to see this. But if you miss it, you have to be really good at just saying, you know what, relax. Like another thing is, and I was thinking this today, the more I sit in front of the screens, the more I watch the market intraday, the more pressure I feel to make money. When if you just go and you walk outside and you just like look around and you have like, there's 1,000 people who have no idea that SPX is down 50 points. Like, why am I freaking out, right? Like, I'm not even red. Like, I'm not losing. Like, nothing has happened, but you feel that like anxiousness of, damn, like I can't believe I missed that move. Like, I don't know when the market's going to move like that again. Like, need to be in that trade. You have to be very, very okay with missing stuff in this market if you're going to survive, quite honestly.
Oh yeah, you can have FOMO. That doesn't work. And but today I was so upset because, of course, like the one trade was like so, and the other trade I lost money. So it was a losing day for me. And I'm like, you know what? I can sit here all day and wait for the reversal, which showed up. But I was so just tired from that focus for 2-3 hours that I went to Barry's bootcamp. I'm like, let me go just like work out, like really hard. And that's what I tell people, like, what do I do? I'm like, go and take that energy that you have and use it for like your health. Just go run or like go bike. It really helps, because if you keep sitting there, you're going to get more and more overwhelmed and then you make more mistakes. So it is what it is. I mean, there's so many stocks to trade and we can trade forever until we die if we want to. The market will be there. So yeah, I think you're right. That's but yeah, there are always some runners though. It just depends. When people get so fixated on one, as I said, like most people want to trade the cool stuff, the big runners. They want to trade like the high beta stocks. And then they can't get their mind off of these stocks and they miss completely other part of the market, So that's again, the flexibility and the bias, And I was like that too. I thought I have diversified portfolio by having 15 tech stocks. Well, guess what? It wasn't. As I learned, like I'm so diversified. No. So
That was
that's
the
funny.
60-40 portfolio in 2020. 60% Apple, 40% Meta. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's very true. Yeah, you have to be able and willing to look around the market, or if you're not, it's I think again you have to make like the decision. For me, I'm trading only ES. I don't want to look at anything else because if I'm not, it's like all or nothing. Like I want to be able to, dabble and trade other things, or I just want to simply focus on ES because the moment let's say I missed the short this morning on ES, but then I go and I look and, oh, Apple has a setup that I'm looking at, or Coin has a setup. No, that's a loser. That's a guaranteed losing trade because it wasn't
Guaranteed.
planned. And
Guaranteed.
Coin is such a
What'd you
bitch.
say?
I said guaranteed.
I hate that
Guaranteed
stock.
loser. Guaranteed loser.
Yeah, that's the FOMO trade. That's the FOMO trade. I missed whatever move we just got. Let me go ahead and find something else that hasn't necessarily sold off yet. That's exactly what that is.
So you only trade, yes, okay, well, that's nice because you focus on one thing. I really would love to get there one day, actually. I have a lot of friends, they only trade SPY or ES, and they just focus on that. But then it gets challenging if you have this chop, because there are so many days you cannot trade because it's just too choppy. So then I understand your point that, yeah, if you just trade that, there's so many days this year that are just untradeable or really risky to trade.
I think that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, though. Like, there are days where, especially like as you start to, because I'm kind of the same way as Alejandro, I primarily focus on ES and I'll trade some of the other futures, but really mainly ES. And I think the more you do it, the better of a feel that you get for, like you said, those days that are going to be probably untradeable and just not really offer the best opportunities. And I use those days to just leave. Like I there's really no reason to have.
No,
Dude, I don't. How many days this year? How many days this year have I not taken a trade? How many days this year have I not taken a trade?
But let's use the right words. Leave. You sit.
Leave is probably
an screen all fucking day.
Leave is an inaccurate interpretation, but
this man said
also,
leave. I can't wait till the members in the Discord hear this.
Dude, also though, it's at the same time, how many days have I not taken a trade?
No,
I'm effectively gone. My account's gone from the market. Like, that's what I mean, is like days where I go in knowing ahead of time that I don't have to trade today. I probably won't trade today. I have the ability to sit here and watch and still not take trades because that's the level that I've gotten to after 5 years. I know that. I know that when we have a day that I shouldn't be trading, I don't trade it. It's pretty simple. Like, I've gotten to that level. It's not easy,
guess
but
what we can
you
do?
gotta get there.
We can read, guys.
Exactly. I sit here with my ES chart open and I read books. That's what I do all day. Like,
technical book on options. That's what I'm doing.
Rip some Natenberg and then I
pages.
come back when the market's ready. Like, it's that simple. But honestly though, like, that's what I mean is like having that understanding for days that are going to be tradable and days that are not going to be tradable. I think that's one of the benefits of trading the same thing over and over again. And I think a lot of that too, like even for me, I've started to learn that really goes with how the economic calendar goes. SPY goes as the economic calendar goes, as the news goes. This week has been, we talked about it, the last 4 days have been really good. And probably like the week before that really wasn't great. Is it a coincidence that literally all of April, so here's what happened, by the way. What's today? Today's the 2nd of May. So we had a range in April from the 1st of April to basically the last week of April where SPY traded in more or less a $10 range. In the last 2 days of April, SPY broke the low of that range and then went and broke the high of that range. Set a range for 18 days and then it took 2 days to take both the low and the high. Is it a coincidence that April, the month that we had literally 3 weeks of chop, is also the only month in the first 5 months where the Fed does not meet for their meeting? The Fed meets every single month, but they didn't meet in April. Every April, they take the month off, they come back in May. Is it a coincidence that we chopped around for 3 weeks straight in April? This is what I mean by like understanding when the market is most likely to move and when you're going to have those probabilities in your favor, right? When you're going to have the chance like Alejandro said, to have runners that go 100 points, right? Is it a coincidence that Alejandro's runners that went 100 points came the week before an FOMC meeting when things start to heat up, when we start to get CPI and JOLTS and NFP? Those things are not by accident, right? So I think having a good understanding of timeframes in the market, not just timeframes in terms of like intraday, but on a yearly level, having timeframes for when the market likes to move, I think can be really beneficial. We're coming into summer right now. We know that summer tends to be a bit slow, a bit choppy, a bit low volume, and then things pick up in September. If you're swinging for the fences for the next 2-3 months, there's a good chance, especially on the indices, that you're going to get chopped up. I think just having those basic understandings and comes with doing this for long enough. Like you said, you have to be exposed to those different types of markets to have experience in them, right? If you don't have experience in a choppy market, when we get inside of this $10 range, it's going to be extremely difficult. So yeah, I definitely like your point about how you sort of build that knowledge base as you go along, and just continue to get better at whatever it is that you're specializing in.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like this shop is great for selling options, but the VIX is too low. So the premiums are not as great this year as last year. Last year was much better. So I don't sell, like if I look at a contract, I'm going to get $30, $40. I'm not interested to even like spend the brain power for that and then be locked in a contract with cash secured puts, for example, you know? So yeah, it is interesting. I'm excited. I love trading. It's my passion. I hope I can be doing this for a long time. And again, like I just want to bring more work-life balance into it. And the days that are choppy, to just like really do something else. Like I used to love working out in the morning. I haven't been doing that in 3 years. I'm working out at noon, which is totally different experience than morning workout. So maybe I will do that. Maybe that's how I will adjust. And this summer again, like last year, I made the most money. I made more money in August than in the whole entire rest of the year last year, because we had that crazy bear market rally in August. I was like furious. So that was a very good month for me. So you never know, you know, what's going to happen. Of course, the seasonality for me, like September was always the worst month. Like September just is really ugly. We have sell-off. Like the 3 years I was trading was always a sell-off in September. And I got chopped out for fact in 21. And last year was also terrible. So yeah, we need to like have the calendar, as you said, and remember the seasonality, remember the months, remember also what is happening. You know, March, April, also taxes. People might need to be pulling money out, selling stocks for tax purpose, you know. So all these things come into play. And yeah, we have to adapt all the time. And I have a challenge. I want to learn futures. That's my challenge.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever interested, I mean, I'm sure you're already connected with plenty of great futures traders. The Wolf Spaces that he does on Thursday, if you join on there, there's people trading strictly futures on Thursday mornings. Noah and I have been on a few times, but yeah, futures trading is great. I mean, there are times where I think it gets pretty boring, in my opinion, when the market really isn't moving, because you don't get that excitement that a lot of traders look for of playing breakouts and your options contract just went 100%. It's like you have to be ecstatic when you make 10 points on a trade, and that's it. It's not the sexiest thing in the world, but at the end of the day, if you have a repeatable process, it's about making money. So yeah, I mean, Noah and I are very focused on futures trading right now, and we have similar mindsets in that regard. It's like, it's just trying to catch your points whenever you can and taking money out of the market and being, satisfied and not trying to be a hero or look cool. Futures trading isn't that cool. Like I said, it's like, everybody wants that rush. Everybody wants that rush.
I tried it. Like, I know it's all about the levels. You have your levels and that's it. You trade between them.
That's the beauty of it, I think. I think that's the beauty of it. Like, you come in every day. Like, when you watch the S&P every single day, it's like you have the roadmap like grilled into the back of your mind, and you just kind of understand the price movements and how price moves around these levels, and you're just trading the same thing over and over and over, and you just watch it so much that it becomes like second nature. And, with experience, I also think futures trading is one of those things where if you can master it, that's a way to make money for the rest of your life, regardless of market conditions. Like if we can trade through chop, if we can trade through a hot market, if we can trade through a bear market, simply trading the S&P, that's a moneymaker right there. So
yeah, it's like a subway station, right? It always goes up and down between the supply demand, and that's what you do. You trade between those
that's it. Yeah.
levels, and that's it. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I started digging into it last week, and I tried actually to trade a SPY off of ES, to have my levels on ES, and then just trade SPY. I tried for like 2 weeks, and I was reading the tape, but I sucked. So, are you guys like focusing on? Do you read the tape too when you trade, or
no?
Just the levels? That's it.
Yeah, strictly levels. And I watch SPX as well, just the moving averages on the 30-minute and 1 hour charts. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Rocket Scooter too. You know Matt, right?
Yeah, I met him in Houston
Of course,
2 weeks ago.
yeah.
We had dinner. Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, I saw those pictures. Yeah, so we have been
fun.
trading with Rocket Scooter for a while now. Not a while, like 6 months probably, but I guess it's a while. But yeah, it has been game changing. Like Rocket Scooter, you're lucky if you're gonna start trading futures and you have Rocket Scooter. That's definitely gonna help you speed up the learning curve for sure.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It seems like an amazing platform. I have to learn how to use it. Yeah. Because every platform has, it's complex. So
right.
Yeah, great, awesome. I have a new plan. I'm excited.
There you go. Lia, before we get out of here, I want to ask you just to give, new traders, or if you could give yourself when you were first learning to trade one piece of advice or two pieces of advice, what would that be?
I think that you said that already, simplifying, because what people do, they just try to trade everything. They try to trade options, stocks, and futures, and they are completely confused. So I think test it out and pick one thing that you really like to trade. Simplify with everything, with the technical indicators as well. And second, the patience. I think really be patient and stick to your plan and go through thick and thin, because the market is changing, and so a lot of people give up because they have losing month or they have losing weeks, and they when you're starting, just trade small and be patient. That's it.
I definitely agree with those two things. Really, really important. Lia, thank you for joining us. This was an awesome episode. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, Noah, another awesome episode. I'll catch you next week for episode 74.
Yep. Thanks again to Lia, and we'll catch you guys next time.